Hey everyone, before I share my update, I want to begin by saying thank you to AIHA Warriors, and especially Karen and the entire leadership team for the work you do every single day improving the lives of people living with warm autoimmune hemolytic anemia. This organization doesn't just provide information, it builds community. It gives patients a voice and it advocates in real ways. Even taking our stories to Washington, D.C., so lawmakers and decision makers understand what rare disease actually looks like, but in real life. We had the privilege of traveling to DC one year to represent the community, and sitting across from leaders and explaining what rare really means was powerful. We're grateful for that opportunity, and we certainly look forward to doing it again. Karen, thank you. What you're building here truly matters. Now, if you're watching this because you're newly diagnosed or supporting someone or just trying to figure out what the heck AIHA even is, let me talk about it in a way that I hope it makes it simple and makes sense. So what this disease, what it does simply is think of your immune system like a security team, right? Normally it protects you from real threats, viruses, infections, things that don't belong. But with warm autoimmune hemolytic anemia, that security team is getting confused. So instead of targeting invaders, it's mistakenly targeting our own red blood cells, the very cells that are supposed to help us. So inside each red blood cell is something they call hemoglobin. And hemoglobin's job, it's a simple job, but it's incredibly important. It grabs oxygen from your lungs and delivers it throughout your body. So I like to think of it as if oxygen's the fuel, then hemoglobin is the delivery truck. And yes, that's many years of being in the logistics industry. That's why all of my metaphors come with trucks and deliveries. But when your doctor talks about your hemoglobin level, what they're really measuring is how many oxygen delivery trucks are on the road. When hemoglobin is normal, you got plenty of trucks running. When hemoglobin drops, fewer trucks are delivering oxygen. And when that happens, well, you feel it. You feel tired, short of breath, you're weak, you're foggy. It's like someone's unplugged your internal battery. And that's why patients hear the word hemoglobin over and over and over again. We're always hearing, what's your hemoglobin? Has it gone up? Has it gone down? It becomes, if you will, a scoreboard of such. But here's what's important, and I need you to remember this. Hemoglobin is not a verdict, it's a measurement. It's not something to fear, it's just information. It helps guide treatment. What it does is it helps to track our progress. It helps your doctors know what to do next. With autoimmune hemolytic anemia, the immune system destroys red blood cells faster than our bodies can reproduce them. So the number drops. That's it. Understanding that I hope takes away a lot of the fear. But in my case, we weren't just dealing with warm antibodies. I was also diagnosed with cold antibodies, which means when the temperature drops, another set of immune confusion can kick in. So imagine your security team gets even more jumpy in cold weather. Suddenly for me, the frozen food aisle felt like a tactical mission. There were times when grabbing ice cream required mental preparation. Yes, it's rare. Yes, it's complex. And yes, your immune system can be a little dramatic. But when you understand what's happening, hopefully it becomes more manageable instead of mysterious. My story, briefly, would be that when this first started, it was debilitating. The fatigue wasn't, I need a nap tired. It was immobilizing. Walking across the room for me felt like both ways were uphill. My weeks were revolving around blood draws. Every appointment felt like waiting for a test result that was going to determine how my week was going to go. I went through high-dose steroids, which definitely come with personality upgrades. If you've been on steroids, you know what I'm talking about. I had IVIG infusions, rituximab treatments, constant lab work. They talked about removing my spleen, which I was not going to let them do. We were watching my hemoglobin numbers closely and always hoping to see them rise. And when they didn't, it was discouraging. But when they did, it felt like I was winning something. And there were moments of frustration, moments of uncertainty, moments where it just felt overwhelming. But through treatment, through careful monitoring, and a medical team that understood this disease, that's the important thing, is finding a team of doctors or a hematologist that understands what it is they're dealing with. Well, with all of that, it began to stabilize. So an update for me today would be right now, my hemoglobin has been holding steady around 12 or 13. And if you've ever lived in the single digits, you know 12 feels like a celebration, right? The cold sensitivities improved significantly, and I no longer approach the grocery store like I'm preparing for an Arctic exploration. I'm not requiring any active treatment right now. We are monitoring, we're aware, but I'm stable. And with this disease, you learn something quickly. Stability, it's exciting. Stability is worth celebrating. Stability is not boring. It's a gift, and we don't take it lightly. Now I want to step into something else if we can for a moment, and that's caregivers, but from a patient's perspective. While this diagnosis has our name on it, it affects more than just us. Caregivers become medical researchers overnight. They learn terminology they never signed up for. They track labs like they're accountants. They remember what your hemoglobin was 3 months ago when you can't remember what day it is. In appointments, when the doctor says something concerning and your brain freezes, they're still listening, still writing, still asking questions. And here's something we don't talk about enough. Caregivers don't get lab results. They don't get numbers that say you're improving. They just keep showing up. They carry uncertainty quietly. They stay steady when you're discouraged. They celebrate when your numbers improve, sometimes even more than we do. Look, medicine matters. Doctors matter. Treatment matters. But so does someone sitting next to you saying, we've got this. If you're a caregiver watching this, what you do matters more than you'll ever know. You're not just driving people to appointments. You're anchoring someone through uncertainty. And if you're a patient like me, say thank you and say it often. We can get a little dramatic when our labs dip, right? We Google things we shouldn't. We reorganize pill boxes that were already organized. Caregivers didn't choose this diagnosis, but they choose to stay. And that choice is powerful. Now, if you're newly diagnosed, if you're new to this journey, let me say this as clearly as I can. Breathe. Now, I know that's slightly ironic because in the beginning, that's exactly what this disease seems to mess with. It takes your breath away, sometimes literally. So maybe let's say it like this. Take a slow breath. You don't have to understand everything today. You don't need to understand the next step. Find a hematologist who understands this disease. Rare diseases require doctors who are familiar with rare diseases, not someone Googling it in the hallway. And don't be afraid to ask questions and write them down. Bring someone with you if you can. Look, you're not behind. You're not failing. You're not learning. What you are is you're learning something you've never planned to learn. And that takes time. So write them down and bring someone with you if you can. And please stay off midnight Google. Your life is bigger than your hemoglobin number. Yes, labs matter, but they're not your identity. They're not your future. They're not your worth. Over time, what feels terrifying becomes manageable. What feels isolating becomes shared. And one day you're going to realize when you're calmly explaining to someone else, hey, you've grown. So in closing, I just want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. Thank you to AIHA Warriors. Thank you to Karen. Thank you to caregivers. And thank you every patient walking this road. Stability is worth celebrating. Progress is worth noticing. And showing up, even on the hard days, that counts. And look, if I can survive the frozen food aisle without gloves, then there's hope for all of us. But let me say this. This disease may affect our blood, but it does not get to define your strength. Thank you.